What up? New
What up?
England MMA. Bryan Rossi, Relentless Rossi, in the house tonight with me. That's your camera, Brian, by the way, which
All right.
you know because you did set up the room kind of with me
Kind of,
last
yeah.
week. So tonight I have Brian on, and we have sound. Brian,
Yeah.
we are batting 1,000 at the
Batting
moment
1,000.
right now. So if anyone doesn't know who Brian is, because Brian's been kind of off the grid as far as the fighting circuit for a
Yeah.
couple of years, more than a couple of years.
About 3 years now. Been out of it.
Your last fight was against John Duma for
That's
the
right.
Cage Titans featherweight amateur title.
That's right.
Dude, you built my computer. You and
Yeah.
I have been every so often on Facebook. You've been doing other things, which we'll get to. But you and I have been talking here and there over the years. Not much, but
Yeah.
we've been staying in contact a little bit. I put out there that I needed a computer built because my laptop kept fucking up my stream,
Mhm.
which doesn't seem to be the case tonight. If anything screws up tonight, let me know. Because this is a trial and error show with you
Yeah.
tonight. Because I reached out to you because you messaged me and you put this computer together for me for the
course.
exact needs of what I was intended to do in here. So let's talk about, first of all, what you've been doing in these past 3 years since that fight with John, and why'd you get out of the fight game, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, man. Right now at the moment, I just work in the car industry. I've always loved cars, and I always loved working on them, being under them, and stuff like that. So it was a very natural fit to go and sell them. I understood them well, so that's what I've been doing. I kind of wanted to make as much money as I could, and that was a first business of choice. So I got into that. But yeah, man, just been doing my thing. You know what I mean? Trying to stay out of trouble and be good in the community. You know what I'm saying? And the fight game is a tough game to mimic having that fun again. So you're always just looking for something to just occupy your time or just do the next thing and always have fun and stay level. And that's always the tough thing as a fighter. So that's what I've been doing pretty much, just trying to stay level, keep it together, do good. You know what I mean?
Excellent. Well, you fought for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
you started, we've spoken. I mean, we've commentated like a fight, like Smoker Show together.
Of
And
course.
we know a little bit about each other's background.
Yeah.
You started off way, way, way long ago. Let's talk a little bit about, who you were with and who brought you up in the MMA game.
I actually started at a school when I was really young. I started about 10 years old at Dragon Lair in Framingham, which is like, if you've been around long enough, you know that everybody who came through an MMA scene locally at one point or another, that's where they ended up, was Dragon Lair. For whether they were a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion or kickboxing champion or future MMA fighter in the UFC, everybody stopped through there at one point or another. So that's where I ended up. And then along the way, I ended up meeting Jorge Rivera and Matt Feeney and some other people. And then, they ended up introducing me to some other people. So one thing led to another, trained with some gyms, and that's how it started off. And it was a lot of fun, man. I met a lot of great people. So MMA was awesome.
Now, looking back at Jorge,
Yeah.
was this, what time around was this? Was this before his the show? He was on the show,
So
right?
when I met him,
The
he
Ultimate Fighter.
was the show was airing. So I didn't even know of the show, but it was airing, And then come to find out, I didn't even really know about the show too much. I watched the first
It was
season.
only like the second season,
It
right?
was the fourth season,
all
I
right.
believe. Yeah, because I used to watch Monday Night Raw, and then they would play The Ultimate Fighter after. So that's how I figured out the Forrest Griffin fight with Stephen Bonner.
Yeah.
So I figured out that one, and a few years later, he's on the show. It's pretty cool.
With who was it? Was it Rich Franklin? I think, or Rich Franklin. No, Rich Franklin came in
Rich
as a
Franklin,
guest
I think
coach.
Matt
I think.
Hughes. Yeah.
Was it? No,
Something
yeah,
like
but they
that.
came in to coach, and then
Yeah.
he fought Rich Franklin also.
Yeah, he fought Rich Franklin way back, man. And he did really well against him too, man.
Rich Franklin was the stud back
He
then.
was a front row killer, man.
Mhm.
He was a murderer's row back then.
And now he's like, not to get off course, but Rich Franklin, he's part of One, right? One.
Yeah,
One.
yeah. He's one of the executives over at One. He does the matchmaking, PR stuff.
Fucking these fighters evolving. Like Rich Franklin, he
Yeah.
was a UFC champion, and and now he's doing
And I believe
that
he was a
with
math teacher, man, back in the day.
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
He was a
Yeah.
math teacher who just
Yeah.
loved the fight, and I know he was friends with George Gurgel, who I ran into, maybe once or twice at Sit Yat Tong or something like that,
On the
way
show
back
also.
in the day. On the show also,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So yeah, solid, cool
So,
stuff.
all right. So Jorge's on that, and
Yeah.
so you're training with him. Who were some of the other fighters around New England that you were getting work in that were kind of in your camp?
Back then, Davin Westinger was he kind of came on quick. He only trained for 6 months, but then within the first 2 years, he was like 4-5-0. And then he kind of fell off after that. And then there was Brett Morris as well, who was a really good amateur back in the day. And I trained with Andre as well, Sukumta. I was there, his first like week of training. I remember, you know what I mean? He was there. He was brand new. I remember the things he used to do wrong, you know what I mean? And I remember everybody fixing it, you know what I mean? And man, it was awesome. And then who were some other guys too? I met a lot of the guys that came through Tim Burrows as well. There was just so many guys that came through.
You got the Jeffries.
You got the Jeffries brothers. Yeah. You got who's the dude who's always in Canada, man? I always forget his name. He fought for CES. He's also a pro wrestler as well.
They're gonna kill me. Chuck O'Neal.
No, he's rolls with Chuck. It's another dude.
Oh, who the fuck is that? Anyone know out there? Tell us who it is.
Who is it?
Who's the guy that hangs out with Chuck O'Neal? And he was with a Burrell dude?
Yeah, he's a Burrell dude. Purple belt. He fights in the UFC, man. He fought in the UFC.
Kevin Spicely.
Yes. Spicely, dude.
Woo! We
yes.
know.
Eric
Awesome,
Spicely. That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all Tri-Force people.
Tri-Force, Tim Burrell. Yeah, but at one point or another, man, if you went to Tim Burrell's back in like 2012, 2011, you'd find all those guys on the map, man. Yeah. Brennan Ward as well. And who else would it be? Head coach over at Tri-Force. Man, why is my memory so bad today?
Well, you got Pete Jeffrey and Keith
and
Jeffrey.
And then
Dave?
No, not
Diamond Dave.
No, heavyweight. CES heavyweight.
Greg Rubella.
Greg Rubella, man. Yeah. Yes, you got Greg over there as well. I mean, dude, and Mike Campbell back in the day. This was a murderer's row on a Saturday morning. You know what I mean? It was a lot of good times back then.
No shit. And all right, so you evolved from there because you've been at a couple of. I mean, along your ways, you met Loco. You've been city odd town, in and out of there.
Yeah.
How long was your amateur career? How long did
It was a while, man. It was like 5-6 years. I fought on and off. Those times where I tried to find other things to do in life, and then I'd go back to fighting. And it was just one of those things. I love to do it, man. You know what I mean? No matter how much I didn't want to love to do it, I love to do it. And you can't mimic that in any other way, man. You know what I mean? Ever since I was a kid, I just loved to fight. And I never ran from one either. So it was just one of those things where I just enjoyed it. It wasn't anything emotional to me. It didn't hurt to do it, only physically.
Yeah. Now your last fight was against John Duma. John Duma coming up amateur, young John Duma. I mean, he's
very good.
Probably 18, 19 years old.
I think he was 20.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
All right, so he's coming up. I remember, because Tri-Force is right down the street from where I live, So I went and interviewed John. It was like one of my first interviews that I went to a gym and talked to him, and he was fighting you. And I didn't know you at the time, you know what I mean? But
it was kind of a mystery.
Yeah, but I looked you and you just seemed like that guy's, he's a big dude, just solid friggin' dude. But the fight, dude, you put a hurting on on John that night, man. For that time, I mean, he caught you in a submission, man. But bring us to that fight because that was your last fight, and from there, you never fought in the cage again. Talk to us a little bit about that fight and fighting John, and what changed leaving that fight that you didn't go back until you still haven't been back.
Yeah, funny story, man. I actually went on a vacation with my girlfriend. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before the fight, and I spent a week in New York, and I actually stayed in the mountains over there for a week, and I just hiked mountains and shit like that, hiked trails, and it was pretty cool. And I took a week off from violence right before a fight. I think it was either the best thing I did or the worst. To this day, I still don't know, but in that week, man, I think I just did a lot of thinking, and I think that's what ended up kind of pulling me away, because I just did a lot of thinking over that weekend, and it kind of changed my perspective of fighting. And I think it was also the reason why I fought that fight so loosely. I just went out there, I didn't care, I just fought it to fight. You know what I mean? I brought the fight to him, and that was my plan from day one. You know what I mean? It was just to bring the fight to him and not be afraid of him. I know a lot of people kind of doubted me at that point. I saw a lot of people turning their backs to me a little bit, saying, oh man, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I took the fight anyways, and I said, yeah, I could beat him, man. I know I could beat him, and I went out there and I fought the way I should. I came up with my whole game plan pretty much on my own for the most part, I did a lot of that, and man, I fought the way I should have, and I have no regrets, man. You know what I mean? I gave John Duma my 1,000%, man.
That was a great fight.
And man. He took it, and he ran with my thunder, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And man, and maybe people would even think that I even stopped because of it, which to me would be kind of crazy, but because it was a great fight, and I enjoyed the shit out of that fight, man. And I don't know, I felt like after that night, I don't know that I would ever get that feeling like that again, and it was an epic fight, man, and it was just so much fun, and I felt like after that night, I experienced everything I wanted from fighting. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
there was not much more to take after that without sacrificing my health to a point that it wasn't worth it. You know what I mean? And that's just how I walked away from that fight. I didn't feel that way right away. It took a few months. You know what I mean? Yeah. But after that fight, man, I said, you know what? That was it. You know what I mean? That was great. I can walk away with that. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Well, we stayed in touch through the years here. You know, these 2 or 3 years. You got a career now, doing very well.
Yeah.
You started, training a little bit, going back to, I think Tri-Force. You might stop in there, but are you going back to training? What's your thought now? And when you answer that question, I'll ask you another one about, MMA.
Yeah.
Since that last fight with John.
No, I think I'm definitely going to go back to training. My health is a lot better now than when I stopped. My health was not great. I had a lot of neck issues and stuff like that going on when I stopped, and I think I've gotten a lot better over the time, and I've been actually working out a lot with Keith. And funny thing, man, I actually
the TFW side there.
Yeah, I've been training at DFW, and I love the program.
He's a motivator,
dude,
man. Is he not?
Here's something funny,
the whole
man.
Team.
Oh man, he's the best, dude. He is the best. I love working with Keith, and the people there are awesome. And funny thing too is me and my girlfriend, because we go every morning at 6 a.m. when they were open before quarantine. But we would walk by every morning of the picture of John with the belt on, all bloodied up after I beat him up.
A big smile in the back. A big smile. He's all like,
we walk by every morning. And there's not one point in the training session where I don't think about that night at some point.
That's awesome. And here you are at the same gym as him, and fucking, look where, John's doing well now. You know what I mean? He's doing really good.
Dude, I think he's one of the best guys in that weight class coming out of the area, man. He just needs a little bit more experience to hit like the UFC level, because, man, he came on so young, man. You know what I mean? That kid came up so young. So I think he's on his way,
Just to let and remind everyone out there, Richie Santiago is going to be calling. I'll be calling him at 9 o'clock. We'll be catching up with him, talking a little bit about his fight that he had in January, his fight back from the Contender Series. And we'll be talking a little bit about the UFC this weekend and, getting our all three take on that. But to get back at you.
Yeah.
Let's, now you're, back in MMA. You are really good at, like, talking MMA and, explaining things to people on the internet. Like, you would comment on a post every so often and stuff like that. As far as the years you've been away, I mean, I know you've been looking at the local scene here and there. What are you thinking as far as what's happened in MMA since, you left a few months after that fight?
I think MMA has gone down kind of this weird path, man. I think there's a lot of profiting off fighters that, they don't get what they deserve, and it's hard to watch sometimes. You know what I mean? It's hard to be at like a CES event sometimes for me like that, because a lot of it, man. I've actually watched the movie The Wrestler. You ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
That's one of my best references, man. I feel for a lot of fighters when I watch that movie because I know what's going on, man. You know what I mean? I know that these guys are sacrificing a lot to be there. Your family doesn't want you to do it. Maybe you got kids and you're out there. You're taking punches to the face. You're getting strolled off in an ambulance. It's tough life, man. You know what I mean? So for me, it was hard to sit in the sidelines for some time. I think today I can probably separate myself from it a little bit better, but it's a very tough world. So I do watch a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys locally that I do like to keep an eye on. What's that gym down in Fall River, man? That they got Regiment, man, dude.
Jorgen De Castro fighting this weekend.
Yeah, dude. Jorgen, man, he's a beast. Dude.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He reminds me of Mark Hunt. There's a lot of similarities there to Mark Hunt.
Well, he just took out Mark Hunt's dude that last fight in fucking Australia. So
I know, man. He's a beast, dude, and he's got a lot of potential, man. He's still young in the fight game. I think what's he like in the late 20s?
I think he's like 32 or something, around 32.
But dude, he's in the heavyweight division.
He's heavyweight, yeah. He can fight till he's 40.
Yeah, no problem. He's got another 8 years left in him, and I think that he's one of those dudes, man, where like I think his technical ability still hasn't caught up to his ability to perform on the big stage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is a good thing because that means he's got a lot of potential to move forward. And he's got a bright future ahead of him. And he's got at least another good 5 years.
Hold that thought because we're going to have to talk about it. We're going to be talking about that further. So, all right. So, as far as, what you've seen, the evolving of it, though, I mean, social media is crazy. The fighters are doing great on there. Things are just evolving. 3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Now we got amateurs that are fighting for titles that are getting huge sponsorships.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these guys are making like $3,000 amateur on a fight, $3,000, $5,000. Some of them are real smart business people, selling tickets. Was it like that? When you talked about being in kind of the sleeper, you know what I mean, fighting here and there. So I'm sure the media game and all that. But what do you see in it? Is it like a great thing? Like
I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing because here's the thing: you get better fights more suited to you as a professional if you can sell tickets. At the end of the day, that's the fight game. It's been like that in boxing for years. It's like that, I'm pretty sure, in Muay Thai and overseas and stuff like that. So there's no reason why it would be any different here. If you have a good following, they're going to eventually start tailing fights to you and giving you the fights to make you look good and then bring you to the next level. If you sell tickets, that's going to be the goal, of course. So that's very important, man, to be a business person on the side as well as being a fighter. You don't want to take that hard road. I took a very hard road. You don't want to go down that road if you don't have to. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You gotta find a good coach that's right beside you at all times. A good guy who can manage your career in the right way. Because as a fighter, you're not there to make good decisions. You're there to fight.
Yeah.
And you have to have the mentality to fight anyone, anytime, anywhere. Any weight class. You know what I mean? And if you don't have that mentality, you're not a champion. So you have to have that mentality at the end of the day. Not necessarily good for business. You know. So you have to have the right person to tell you what's the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And in the past, fighters among yourself are coaches now. They've been through it, and you've done some of that in the past. You've done some pad work for Miguel Cuevas, a new pro on the horizon coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've been there. You've trained with some of these people. You've helped them along their career.
Yeah.
Where do you see MMA going as far as New England in the future? Because it's been built so much. I like to give kudos to NewEnglandMMA.org because we have, people are jumping on board. New England's like a heartbeat of MMA right now.
It's a hot spot.
So what do you think as far as the future of what's going on here? And it's a big question, but where do you see in the next, we get out of this pandemic, where do you see New England on the map?
Eventually they're going to breed a champion, man. Eventually they're going to breed a champion. We haven't had that one guy to hold that big belt yet. You know what I mean? But eventually New England's going to get it, man. We have the best education in this area. There's no better education than what you get in the Northeast between New England, New York, some parts of Connecticut. You get great education. And on top of that, all those people they learn jiu-jitsu eventually. They learn Muay Thai. They learn MMA. They learn the fight game, and they turn into managers, they turn into coaches, school owners, and you got these great education out there, man. And eventually, that's going to breed a champion in some way, and multiple champions once we get there. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the mentality of the Northeast. You know what I mean? We breed champions here, man. It's the Belichick way has really...
I like it.
Dude, the Belichick way has reflected us in many ways, right?
Awesome. What time is it? 8:55. We got a couple of more minutes before I call Richie Santiago.
Yeah.
Peter, what's up? Kayla Gravely, I want to say shout out to. I'll do a few shout outs. I still Mike Hersey, a poster right here. A Poirier poster signed.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, so he won it. I also have a 24/7 Ink magazine shirt for him. I just haven't got a chance to mail it. I'm thinking about just rolling it up like that and just put it in a priority box, right?
Why not?
I don't have to put it in a poster fucking thing, right?
No.
Everyone knows that. Shout out to Walt.
You can't even roll it.
Get me that. A bunch of posters anyway. A bunch of shirts to give away at some points in the fucking podcast. But special shout out to myself, Steve Domenico. But I'm going to put my website here that I have with Lars and Travis, because you have to follow and go and join, because we're going to be having the New England rankings that NewEnglandMMA.org.
Dude, that's so cool.
We're going to do our first one.
Yeah.
And so we're starting in, I think, a couple of weeks, which you're going to have to go on the website. You have to be a member to vote. So we're going to have a fan vote. We're going to have a media, and promotions will make up a lot of the percentage of it. But the fans will be in there too. So right now we're in the process of mailing out, emailing the promotions and getting them, on board and seeing who's on board. So some people want to do it. Some people don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, I don't see why.
Never hit me up about it. Shit.
Like the website's going to be amazing down the line. And why wouldn't you want to be a part of it? It's going to be legit. Who else is doing it?
Yeah.
You know,
Nobody else is
Tapology
doing it.
ain't doing it. No one else is doing it.
Tapologies is awful.
And you know, a lot of people might not like me as far as like how I'm vocal I am and a little, but you got Travis Lazat and you got Lars, a former judge, you know, fight judge for 10 years. You know, with Kevin, you know, Kevin McDonald. He's the dude that designed my website. He's the guy that's running it. He's kind of the guy that's sending the messages out. We got 3 guys here that have been in MMA in New England for a long time. I mean, who the fuck... And plus we'll have fans and promotions and some other media. I mean, who else is going to do that and be that legit?
Yeah.
Fucking Tapology? Sure, dog? No. So join the fucking page, be a media member, and vote. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
So I'm going to put the website right now, and then we're going to give Richard Santiago a call because Richard had a fight that was postponed. He was fighting for the CES flyweight title that Shut won. I think that's his name, against Johnny Mr. Nice Guy Lopez, the open title. Now Richie was awarded the, you know, to go against him, and that fight got canceled. So we're going to talk about that and all that other stuff. Let me put this fucking website. Sorry, New England MMA.org. Now I'm going to put this here, and don't join it yet because then you'll leave the podcast. Join it after or whatever. But you better get on there because if I don't see about 20 clicks today, because we had about 15 people watching and we got people coming and going. If I don't have at least 15 new people on that site tonight, I'm not going to be happy. How's that sound, Brian?
Sounds good. Sounds demanding.
All right. I'm going to call Richie Santiago right now, and we're going to talk to Richie about what's been going on. Is this him? Who's that? Somebody is messaging me. I at least get like 2 Facebook Messenger messages while I'm podcasting, and people know I'm podcasting. They just do it to bust my balls. I'm going to call them out someday, but not tonight. All right, call it now, Richie. So, you haven't seen or talked to Richie in some time. You had...
No, I actually seen him not too long ago,
like
a month ago.
All right, cool. All right, he's responding.
I seen him at Tri-Force.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, he's been with them, I think, 2 fights.
Yeah.
I think the contender fight might have been his first one, huh?
Great move for him.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you know, it's a good spot for him.
He's got so many options, so many training partners there. Then he can go to Lozon's
on the He's got good guidance,
man.
Shit. You know?
All right, he didn't say okay, but I'm going to call him anyway, if he's ready or not.
Hello?
Wow, he answered right away. What's up, Rich?
What up? Hey, I'm waiting for you guys. What's going on?
What up, kid?
I got to get your picture up here, but that was your fight. We don't want to put that up yet. Facebook might block us. Richie, thanks for coming on, man. You've been tuning in, waiting your turn, but I had to catch up with Bryan. But you and Bryan have a little history together, man. Let's talk a little bit about how you and Bryan, how you each know each other from the early days.
Yeah, for sure. Me and Bryan go way back. It was actually, I was listening to the podcast before you guys called me, but like when he was telling stories about like you know, we used to be back with Jorge and Brett Morris was there. Bryan was, when I first started, Bryan was already like starting to like teach people stuff. So he was like one of the guys who was already like established. And Brett Morris was a guy who I went to high school with. Yeah. And honestly, if it wasn't for Brett, like I probably would have never, you know, met the people I met, because Brett, me and him went to high school together. He was a senior when I was a freshman. And, you know, I used to follow him on Facebook and I would see him, and he was like the only guy that I knew that was like a legit fighter. So it was like so cool to me because I didn't know anybody else. And yeah, so Brett was the guy that introduced me to Jorge, and yeah, and then I met Rossi, and then, you know, rest is history, I guess.
Excellent. Now, talking to Bryan, his last fight was against John Duma, one of your main training partners at Tri-Force. Now, Richie, you were part of Cage Titans back in the day as far as an amateur fighter. What was it like back then? Was Bryan had to be fighting about the same time you were as an amateur, correct?
Yeah, around the same time. Around we kind of came up around the same time. I think he said like he was kind of off and on for a little while, but I remember he got on a big run there. We both got on a big run around the same time.
Yeah.
But when he fought Duma, that was actually the first time I commentated at Cage Titans, and it was like right off the bat, it was like one of the craziest fights I'd ever seen, and it was the first time I ever got to commentate, so it was like so crazy.
It was nuts. Now back then, John Duma, young kid, not incredibly amount of fights under his belt, but did you know John as far as the circuit, or was he fairly a new face over there?
Yeah, I knew him a little bit. At the time, I wasn't training at Tri-Force full time yet, but I was cross training with them a little bit, so I knew Duma a little bit. I probably knew Rossi a little more at that point. So I didn't really know how that fight was going to go.
All right.
But I knew it was going to be a banger. But yeah, I mean, that was one of those fights where Rossi put it on him, and then Duma kind of came from behind out of nowhere. It could have gone either way. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I mean, Bryan talked about. I mean, like Bryan said, he gave over 1,000% in that fight, and it looked like the finish was near, and then fucking Duma right there, pulled it off, and that's why it makes it such a fucking amazing fight, man. Yeah. I mean. That's what fighting's about. At any time, the fight can change, man. It's fucking great.
That's the fight game, man.
So, Richie, let's, enough about Bryan. We'll get back to him later. But we're going to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on with you. And, dude, you had a huge opportunity coming off a big win back at CES after your Contender Series appearance. You had a second-round finish there. We do have the fight, but I'm going to play that, a little after this in case Facebook shuts me down. I don't know if I want to. I only got the finish in there, so that might be all right. But dude, you had that finish in the second round in January, and then you get a title opportunity in April before really any of this stuff was really with the virus coming along, man. What's it been like, and how did it feel to have that fight postponed and kind of sitting idle until the world opens up again?
Yeah, it was crazy, man, because, obviously January, kind of my comeback fight after the Contender Series, after the big injury. My first fight back, it went well, won the fight, finished the fight, and then afterwards, then it was kind of like thinking about, okay, what are we going to do next? I kind of had my eye on that flyweight title fight anyways, but I was kind of thinking about it, like, do I want to fight either of these guys? I know Johnny Lopez. Johnny Lopez is a good guy. He's a friend of mine, so I wasn't really sure if I was going to call him out or anything, just out of respect. But then when Blaine won, I was kind of just thinking about it, like, maybe does that make sense, And for me, I've been fighting at bantamweight because it's been tough for me to make flyweight. So I knew it had to make sense. If I was going to make the weight, it had to be for a title. It had to make sense. It had to be something big. So, I kind of looked at Blaine's fights and I thought, he's a tough guy, but he's got some holes in his game. And I think he's beatable. And, I've decided, you know what, I'm going to call this guy out. So I went to CES. I asked them what they think about it. They were all for it, and they signed the fight, and man, I was so hyped. Finally, not only getting the title shot, but being the main event and being the main event of this card that was stacking up to be insane.
Andre Sukuntai was on that card. We have who else was on? Another former UFC fighter. Kyle coming down. Oh my
Sweet
God.
Bread was on the card.
Yeah.
Card,
So
man.
So for me to be at the top of that card, that was pretty crazy.
So Richie, here we are, and then, we're watching social media, and, we have Cage Titans has got these back-to-back shows coming, the weekend of the April 4th, I do believe. You got to fight for the title 3 weeks later. April's looking like a friggin' hell of a night for New England MMA because we got Neff, we got, I think we had, Combat Zone 2 maybe thrown in there too.
Yeah, on the 18th, yeah.
Dude, and then, I didn't think it was real as far as shutting down the gyms until Tri-Force and Pete, and they made an announcement that they were going to shut down the gym for a week. I went...
Right.
And it was literally, like 3 weeks or a little more before...
It honestly, it happened so quick because we were training and everything was fine. And then, things started, like things started popping up on the news. And then I remember like this one day I went into the gym and Megan Jeffrey, Pete's wife, she kind of like was taking people aside and just telling everybody like, hey, like this COVID thing is a big deal. Like we're taking it seriously. She's a nurse, so
Yeah.
she would know. And so she was kind of like telling everybody like, hey, listen, we're gonna do what we can, but I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen. And sure enough, like 2-3 days later, we get the notice like, oh, hey, we're gonna close up for a couple weeks. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna close till further notice. And it just happened so quick. It was crazy.
Yeah, and I talked to Pete yesterday. I had a long conversation with him. We touched base about how they're coping with it, how they're keeping online classes going, how he's still still in the game, but how he misses it so much, man. How I know you're with your girlfriend and you're doing a lot of stuff in the house. I see you guys building friggin'. Have you made a chimney yet? Have you built an inside chimney? Because no, even before the virus and the quarantine, Richie and his girlfriend Lilith they were like always building something. They were always like putting a table together, an entertainment system or something. Dude, what have you been doing? How you been staying busy? And I know you're about 170 pounds right now. Don't lie.
Oh, dude, come on. Nah, I'm sitting pretty at like 161, 162. But yeah, no, like you said, we stay busy over here. She's always working on projects. She's always got something going on. She was just staining some wood and spilled some stain on the ground. She was flipping out. I don't even know what she's making, but yeah, so we stay busy over here. We've been doing that to pass the time. But yeah, no.
Look at the last comment. Awesome. Yeah, so that's awesome, bro. How you been keeping up or keeping in touch with your your team and how you guys doing it? How you staying put? Since you guys you just got back in the game after that fight in January, you got the title shot. How you staying active and how you staying kind of not ready to go, but not I don't know what to call it. It's never happened before.
Right. So yeah, we've never seen anything like this before. But yeah, it's just been crazy. Like I've been trying to just work out on my own, do my own thing. It's so hard because like I'm not the type of person where like I work out on my own. Like I don't really if I don't have jiu-jitsu or MMA, like I don't go to like Planet Fitness and work out. Like MMA, jiu-jitsu, like that is me working out. So if I don't have that, it's fucking tough for me to work out. So
well,
I'm doing what I can, obviously, but it's not the same.
Yeah, well, talking to Pete yesterday, I mean, he's his wife is a big part of not only helping manage Tri-Force, but I think she's coaches one of the women's classes, and she's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. So he's getting a little work in, at least with her, as far as be able to go over techniques and keep the mind fresh. I know Lilith throws on the gi every so often. Are you wrestling her up and putting her in arm bars or anything like that, or any training together with her?
Yeah, we can. We have a mat that we break out every once in a while, and I try to eat. It starts out with like drilling and me teaching her a couple moves, and then I want to roll, and then it just escalates until she doesn't want to roll anymore. So,
like playing with a little puppy that's like, all right, I had enough. I gotta get out of here.
Right. But yeah, we'll do like she does kickboxing too, so we'll do some pads and stuff. So that's always fun.
Excellent, man. Well, dude. The weekend is coming and it's fight week, and we haven't heard that in some time, bro. We got two guys fighting on this card, which looks like 95% sure it's gonna happen, but until I see them walk down the lane there getting ready.
I mean, until the ref says
yeah,
go.
exactly, dude. How you feeling about the weekend, and what's that make a fighter that is active feel like, to know that the UFC is going forward and is going to be fighting on?
Oh, dude, I can't wait. Like, we haven't had fight. It's been so long since we had fight. I've already watched Tiger Kings like 3 times over, so I can't watch that again. So I just been watching like old fights and like whatever fight related stuff I can watch. So I cannot wait to watch fights this weekend. It's gonna be awesome, and it's an amazing card.
Yeah, and two of your, I would say training partners, but Jorgen would like eat you in there. But I mean, Jorgen's been in and out of Tri-Force. You get some work in there with Rebello and some of the big guys there. But Calvin is in and out of Lausanne's there getting work. So you had to cross paths with them, at least have some conversation, man. How you feeling about them in there and being that representing New England in a card like this? It's basically history. It's the first card back
Yeah.
After history.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, and yeah, like I said, I'm friends. I'm friends with both guys. You know, I trained with Calvin over at Lausanne's. I've known Jordan for a long time in the game, so it's awesome to see these guys come back on this card, and they both have pretty crazy matchups. Jorgen's taking on Greg Hardy, and Calvin fighting Jeremy Stevens, which was a fight that's been a long time in the making. I think it's gotten canceled like twice now. So I mean, I'm pumped to see them both do work. I think both of them they both stack up really well with their opponents, and I think we could very well come out 2-0 this weekend.
Huge 2-0, and then there's what, like 3 more cards after that or something like that.
Yeah, they're doing. What are they doing? Like it's going to be this Saturday, next Wednesday, and then the following Saturday.
Unreal. The same reffing crew. I think everyone, the same personnel except for the fighters and the coaches and anyone involved with them. It's going to be like a revolving door. Like most of the same staff and everyone's going to be there except for the fighters, which is unbelievable. What are you thinking about watching a fight without a crowd there? And Pete and I, we touched a little bit on that yesterday. What's your thought about being able to hear the action, the impact, and hearing the coaches give out instructions while the fights are going?
I think it's cool. I mean, obviously, like, I'm sure Pete probably told you, like, when we were at Contenders, it's a very different atmosphere, not having a big crowd, and, you can hear each coach yelling at their fighter. You can hear everything. So I know what it's like. As a viewer, as a fan, I think it's going to be really cool because then you can kind of hear the shots more, and you can hear their corners and see what's going through their coach's head as the fight's going on. So I think it's going to be really cool to see a really high level card this weekend with no audience.
Yeah, and the card that we did witness was the one in Brazil, and it was like brand new. It was like when the only card they let go, and there was no crowd there, but it wasn't the card that we have here. I mean, like the energy of us willing this card to go on is going to be enough in that wherever they're having. I don't even know what the name of it or wherever they're having it. It's in Florida, correct?
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville.
Yeah, so who cares? It could be in someone's backyard at this point. So, Richie, as far as just to get back at CES before we touch on this a little bit and let you go. As far as the CES, is that, we don't know when regional MMA is going to come back. Like, we're talking to Pete yesterday, that's going to be one of the last phases that comes in, as far as, getting things open. And the gym's going to open for the fights to happen because you fighters got to get back in there and get some work. It isn't like you can just get thrown into a fight unless it's in the backyard right now, which might possibly happen until the real card comes. But... Richie, what was my question here? I totally forgot.
CES.
CES. As far as the title, is that something that's still there for when CES does come out with their next card? I mean, I understand that you could get a call-up or that UFC could tell you to get ready for a fight down the line, but is that still on the table, and is that still there for you when we're ready to fight again?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to backtrack it, it was crazy because it was, and like you said, in April, when it was kind of when Cage Titans, when our double night got canceled, then I kind of knew the writing was on the wall, like, okay, my fight's going to get canceled. And then like a week after that, then they kind of, made it official, like, yeah, we're canceling, we're going to postpone. And, they were very, like, optimistic about it. They were saying, like, yeah, we're going to shoot for, like, late May, like, June or whatever. And I was like, cool. So I was thinking, like, I got to keep working now, stay in shape. But then, it got to the point where it was just, like, nobody knows when this is going to clear up. So we have no idea when we're gonna fight. So yeah, so now like I'm kind of thinking about it now, and it's like, yeah, I absolutely want the title fight, and but it's got to be in the right circumstance. You know,
Yeah.
I can't, you know, it can't be like they lift the bans or they lift the restrictions, and then oh hey, you're fighting in 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah,
I
no.
can't be doing that.
We understand
You know,
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be like they got to give me like at least 8 weeks or so, and then
Yeah.
I can get everything right.
And you
get
know,
in a good camp and fight.
exactly. You didn't get to this point to make hasty decisions. I mean, you're still a young dude, and why not wait for the time is right? I mean, like you said, be ready. It's this fight, whether it's for the title or you get a shot at the UFC. This next fight is your most important fight, so it's got to have 1,000% going behind it.
For sure. Yeah, and what was I gonna say? But yeah, so like as of right now, everything's up in the air. We don't really know what's gonna happen, and it sucks too because it was like I had such big plans for 2020. It was like I wanted to, my plan was to fight in January, fight in April, try to fight in June. If I didn't get in a fight in June, I was gonna try to fight on contenders in the summer. So it was like, I had such big plans, and then everything gets derailed. It sucks.
What was last thing for him? Oh, Richie. All right, this is going to be the last thing with you because you mentioned it, and I've been friggin' all over social media with the Tiger King, and you did mention Tiger King that you've been watching fucking Tiger King. What do you think about Nicolas Cage?
Carol Baskin killed her husband.
What do you think about? All right, so what do you think about Nicolas Cage? Do I have it right here? Wait a minute. Let me get your fucking picture out of there. Get out of there, Richie. What do you think about, have you been seeing my memes out there about how much I look like the Tiger King and how much I can sound like that motherfucker?
Yes, I think you're perfect.
Dude, that's exactly what I thought.
Hollywood comes calling, you got to answer the call because you're perfect.
Well, here's the problem, and I'm going to play the video right now. Some motherfucker took my role, and his name is Nicolas Cage. You didn't see the news?
No, I heard a rumor about that, but I didn't know if that was real.
Yeah, well, someone's fucking with me because Nicolas Cage took my thing, and here's my video to him. Hopefully,
Nicolas Cage, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. I'm the real Tiger King, and fuck Carol Baskin.
So anyway, I'll play it for you later. So anyway, all right. So that was my message to Nicolas Cage. So anyway, did you see that, Richie? When I called out Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, I did see the video.
All right, so I put it on YouTube, right? And I told everyone to go viral. It's up to like 300 views on YouTube. My interviews don't get that. My fucking nothing gets that. My 10-second plead to fight fucking Nicolas Cage got fucking 300 views on YouTube in like fucking 30 hours. I'm like, you motherfucker, I gotta stop calling everyone out fucking as the Tiger King. So, with that said, Rich, man, anything else you want to say before I let you go? And I end this show with Bryan talking about UFC and getting out of here.
Yeah, thanks as always. Thanks for having me on. It's good to catch up with you guys, always. But yeah, what can I say? Everybody stay safe out there, stay strong. We'll go back to normal eventually. We don't know when, but hopefully we'll go back to normal, get back to training. We can do what we do.
Excellent. Well, Rich, when they, I can only have one person in here, and Bryan is an essential worker, so that's the only reason why he's kind of in here. And I sprayed him down with a fucking disinfectant hose before he came in this room. But I know, down the line when we're opened up again, the Room Podcast is a whole new animal because Bryan put my computer together. We got a lot of stuff coming in here that's going to be hooked up. So I'd love to have you down here again and, talk about that next fight that's coming for you.
Awesome. Can't wait.
All right, brother. You have a great night, man, and we'll see you real soon, bro.
All right. You too. Bye, guys.
Have a good one, Rich.
There you go. That was awesome. Awesome. Another thing about Richie is that, not only isn't he fighting. Oh, that's your name. What's his fucking shit? Oh, he's not only not fighting, but he was doing commentary for Cage Titans, doing a lot of stuff from like behind the scenes, and so he's missing a couple of big things right there. Oh, all right, it's already out of there. So I was gonna play his fight, but I'm afraid, dude. You know what I mean? I was gonna play like the end of it, and when he was like beating the
Yeah.
hell out of the guy, and then you know, ground and pound him. But you know, the show was going well. I didn't want to interrupt it, even though I'm recording it. I'm gonna put it on YouTube, but it's not the
Yeah.
same. It's not the same. So Bryan, last thing with you. You're building PCs now, and your dude right here, someone's laughing, Clark. We talked about in the beginning of the show that, you know, I reached out with you about what I needed.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what, you know, I called you, we talked, you knew I needed a streaming thing, basically just the stream, you know, a couple of little things in there, editing and stuff like that, but mainly so my stream doesn't die and I can have a, you know, evolve with the show and add things and learn things and add edits and all that other good shit. Tell me what you did for me and how you know how to do this and it's something that you're looking to do more of because you hooked up with another guy or two and build another PC for them. Tell us how this happened.
Well, honestly, I was just trying to help you from making a bad decision.
Yeah.
So
because you saw my post, right?
Yeah. So I actually started. I actually do what's called sim racing. You know, it's virtual racing, it's iRacing, stuff like that. It's gaining a lot of popularity right now. NASCAR is doing it, Indy's doing it. There's a lot of celebrity drivers doing it all over the place. But I've been doing it for a while, and it's just part of the hobby. You just have to kind of know what to do with computers. There's times you have to speed them up. There's times where you have to add stuff to it, make them a little bit better, a little bit more power. You have to draw a little bit more from it. So along the way, I just learned some good basics of PC. You know, I still have a lot to learn myself. I'd say I'm maybe a blue belt in PC. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
But
Fucking awesome.
That,
martial artist.
But like overall, like I just wanted to help you out, make sure that you get the right system, get the right thing going, get you in a good system in order that's going to be able to process the information that you need for this podcast. Because you got what, like 15 freaking things hooked up to it. So
yeah,
you need
and
something
even more.
Yeah, you need something that can take all that information and put it out in a clear way, which you see with the podcast. I mean, it's a lot better. You're still working on it, but the clarity and the consistency, the reliability.
No, I don't think there's any crackling or anything tonight.
Exactly.
And I've been able to, like, you know, put pictures in and out and not have any issues, excuse me.
Yeah. So we just built you a system that was perfect for that. I mean, I just take some of the same principles from sim racing and gaming, and I just put it into your editing and your streaming, because it's just processing of information, you know. So I just put the same principles to it, and you know, you got you a good system for a good price.
And you and I talked a lot, like going back and forth. You're like, oh, how much, you know, how many monitors you're going to be around? What do you think, you know, blah, blah, blah. And we went around back and forth for a while. And then you came back with, you know, here and there, you know, a price. We were back and forth. What do you look at the span? Like, I'm blind knowing what, because I go to fucking Best Buy and they got a computer in there for $2,000. I'm like, wow, you know, like, but $2,000 in Best Buy.
Yeah, it's probably
you can get that. Yes, exactly. You can build one. For the same price and with better parts, as you were like talking about. Like you search, you go and get what you need. It isn't like everything's the same brand. I don't know how computers work, but you know what I mean. You go there and you buy everything separately, and you talk to me and said, what can you afford and what do you want to spend and what do you want to do, and right from there, it basically was, I say a week before you and I started ordering the parts, because. Basically, I was going to spend my stimulus check on it because I'm still working. You know what I mean? So I'm not, you know what I mean? I used it for there. And it took basically a week to order the parts and another week from them to come in. And it basically took you a day. But then you wanted the weekend to test it and run your shit on it. You built your own computer and stuff like that. But
so yours was technically my second one. So I bought like a used one just to try to get myself into that world, just try to understand it, because I didn't even know where to start to build a new one by myself. So I bought a used one. You know, I kind of dug through it a little bit, figured it out. I come from a background of just messing around with cars too. Like I've always loved to mess around with cars.
Yeah, because you were playing with you know, the Honda, like you were making like little fucking sports cars before you.
I swapped the engine on my Honda. You know, but like it's a lot easier to do it in a computer. It's cleaner, it's easier, it's not as heavy duty with tools, but it's the same principles. You know what I mean? It's just getting components and just drawing the most out of it that you can. Same principle. It's the same thing, honestly. But like, so all I did was I took apart what was not good enough and I replaced it with what was good enough. And through that, I learned the basics. You know what I mean? And I was very confident with what I could do, because the first time I hit the power button, thing turned on. I was surprised myself. I mean, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it.
That's what I do with this podcast. Like when I get sound, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does it.
So like when on a computer, it's a little bit more escalated. And remember how I was telling you, like I've always been trying to find something that's gonna give me the same satisfaction as fighting. Nothing comes close, but when you put something together like a computer or something like that, there's something strategic about it that's very similar to winning a fight strategically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a very good similarity there.
And then there's some, you get some award from it, what you created and what you're doing for someone. Because look at, tonight, this is, let me just tell you, this is fucking like 30% of what this is going to look, what's going to be going on down the line. Once I learn what's going on and I can Skype and video people in at the same time, a couple of people here, have things flash in, have, a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But I come from I was a drummer for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned was through drumming and through, just, I think less is more sometimes.
Of course.
You know what I mean? You don't need all the bling blang and thing. I mean, people, you might think you need all that because that's the way you think. Like that's, me, I'm da, 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 da. But the people watching, I mean, they're, it's a whole nother thing of what they're seeing. You know what I mean? So I get a little too much on the bling sometimes. So here I'm learning less is more. On the drums, I did the same thing. Less is more. Less is more. Here I got to learn the same thing. The only problem is I'm like a sponge. So I'm like, bah, 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 once I tone it down and learn more, it'll be, what I mean?
Yeah, but that's good that you have that mentality though for computers because these things are capable of it, man. You'd be really surprised with what this thing is capable of. You could probably run your YouTube, you could run Facebook, you could run Twitch, OBS, all at once.
Stream a lot of places, like,
of course.
At once, yeah.
You got 6 cores to work with, so like you're not even tapping into 15% of what this thing's capable of.
And
you know what I mean?
That's what I learned as a progression. Just like you always learn, like you said, martial arts. You're a blue belt in fucking tech shit.
Yeah.
I'm a minus white belt, but I run a pretty good podcast. I mean, if you look, I mean, I do everything myself, all the editing, and I learned everything I did here as far as controlling it and learning how to hook it up. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at my podcasts, the 3 before this, everything was breaking up, and I thought it was me. I'm like, what am I doing it wrong? But you look at tonight, everything's kind of running smooth, and so it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
That I have, like, it was the same thing when I used to play drums.
Yeah.
You can have a shitty kit, and be great and play great. Things break on you. It's not the same. You know what I mean? But you're good enough to put a Band-Aid on it and make it. But it takes away from the playing when you're concentrating on other things. What you did for me took away from, worrying so much, you know what I mean? Like now It's like I just press buttons and now I know I have the power.
Yeah.
The fucking power. So this is something you want to do a little bit now because you got along with Clark and now you're building him because he's a gamer and he does a lot of streaming and playing games. So you're doing that for him. So
he's building a badass PC.
Yeah,
man.
you told me.
He's dropping like a good $1,500, man. You know what I mean?
Like
he's doing all right.
Child support or something.
Hey, whatever. They're not listening.
So you're building him a computer for exact specs or what he wants and what he told you exactly what he needs it for. He's talked to me and like, oh, your buddy's building me a computer because he follows me on Facebook and he watches the podcast like he is tonight.
Absolutely.
So he sees me evolving and he knew I was getting a computer put together, so he got in touch with you. This is something you want to do, along with making a bunch of money with the car industry too.
Yeah, I just enjoy fun things, man. You know what I mean? I enjoy building things, things that I can actually physically build myself. I've gotten way over my head sometimes on projects, but computers are fun. They're very easy once you understand it. It's just going through the process of understanding it. But I want to continue to do that. I want to build PCs for gamers, streamers. Anybody who does any kind of video editing, there's several people that do a lot of things with computers. I do racing simulators and car simulators myself. It's a very niche market. So if I could just take the PC side of it and build some PCs and get that going as a side business, maybe as a full-time business, I enjoy the point of sale. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I asked you the questions, and the reason why I knew what questions to ask you was I literally asked you the same questions as I would ask a person who's trying to buy a vehicle. Yeah,
there wasn't many. I mean, they were basic and what you blah, 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 and then we went from there. Which,
absolutely. It's a process of elimination. You know what I mean? And there's a million parts out there, but I need to know what you need specifically. You know what I mean? So we did that. We went through that process, and you got a perfect system for what you need.
Exactly. I wish I could show it to you, and I will down the line because you know, you and I are still speaking about, because the show's still evolving. I still aren't done. I have things on. I get a 4K camera that I'm going to replace in these with, but I did buy another one, which I'm going to be putting above my other monitor there on the wall, which is going to take a whole room video. So I'll have 3 camera angles for guests, me, and the whole room itself, which will be great if I'm doing a fight companion of a local fight, if I have a bunch of, you know, maybe 4 or 5 guys from the same team in here. You know what I mean? So you kind of put in you developed a monster here, man. I'm gonna have a fucking New England Joe Rogan kind of you know podcast here.
You probably have a more powerful computer than Joe Rogan has on his podcast.
I'd like to hear that.
Probably, you know, he's probably running with an Apple. If I listen to this podcast, I know he's got.
Awesome.
And you got more power to draw from this thing too, man.
Yeah, he's saying it's crisp and clear clock there, man. So, dude, let me just check my Instagrams, because we did go live on Instagram. I want to make sure, because it only goes an hour on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure it saves to my story for 24 hours. Yes, it shut down, I think. I hope my battery didn't run out. Oh, it did. Did it? That happens. You know what happens when my battery runs out? Oh, wait, shut down. You know what it does? It doesn't save the video, which is cool. I got to see it live, so I could care less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was cool. Just to let everyone know what I'm doing. I went live on Instagram, too, with my phone. And, you know, it showed the raw side of the podcast. But what happens is Instagram only records live for an hour, and then it stops. And then you got to save the video. Well, my battery died at the end, and it didn't allow me to save it, which is all right. So, yeah, it died. See how I know these things?
Hey.
With that said, Brian, we went about an hour here, which is pretty fucking cool, man. We talked MMA, we talked UFC. All right, one last thing before we go. Let's put the UFC card up here before we go, and then I'm gonna, because I just want to get your opinion on, where is it? There it is. Your opinion on these fights, because we'll just go over a couple of them. Because you got Donald Cerrone and Pettis, who fought before. Pettis took him out with I think a liver shot or a nice kick. And
that was way back in the day. They fought 2 times before.
Yeah, at the WEC.
They fought in WEC and then they fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
They might have even fought 2 times in the WEC. I don't remember, but I think they fought 2 or 3 times prior.
So this is a fucking huge card. We got fucking Hall against.
Oh yeah, Uriah Hall versus Jacare, man. That's a big fight, man.
I mean, where'd that come from? Where the fuck that fight come from?
Yeah, that's a great fight. That's a great matchup.
Werdum is in there too. I mean, we haven't seen him in a little while, but you know that's going to be fucking a brawl. And this dude right here, is that the Russian dude? Yeah, he's fucking nuts. Sorry, man. It's getting late. I can swear now. You got Henry
Cejudo. Yeah. Versus Dominic Cruz.
Yeah. There's all big guys on this fucking card. Look at you, Logan Castro, heavyweight there. Who else we got over? Heavyweights here.
A lot of good
women
fights,
right
man.
here, which is cool. Women are getting in there. Karate Hottie. Did you see my picture with her? She was holding my head with Holly.
Yeah. I seen the one John Jones.
Oh, it's right there. There's a head right there.
I like the John Jones one, man.
Yeah, when he's holding it with the pen, that's authentic. That's real.
That's John Jones.
That's signed by all them on the back too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they signed it all at the gym.
That's awesome.
Shout out to Taylor Thompson for getting that.
Gotta love John Jones, man.
Oh, he had fun with it, man. He's probably, what the fuck is this thing? He was like, I'll show you. I'll sign it. Put it.
That's genuine John right there.
Even though I think he's an asshole sometimes, but you can't. He's probably a hell of a guy.
Man, when you're that good, who cares?
He's a partier, you know what I mean? What do you know? But all right, what do you got there?
What's that?
Gaethje and Ferguson.
Man, I got Gaethje, man. I'm gonna take Gaethje because I think Ferguson's he's a little older.
He's cut weight twice.
Yeah, he's
in the last 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, and he has a hard time staying healthy too. So I'm actually gonna go with Gaethje. I think Gaethje's a little bit younger, a little bit more on fire. He's just he's a very tough guy to beat. I mean, he's all over the place a little bit with his style, but I think he's gonna be able to get over Ferguson.
Excellent. All right, right here. Cujo and Cujo.
I'm gonna go Cejudo, man. He's younger.
Did I say Cujo? That's 2 beers in and half a joint. Sorry. So you're going with who?
I'm going with Henry Cejudo, man. I think he's younger. he's more on fire as well. I mean, I think he's a better matchup for the win.
Francis, I mean, that's just someone's getting fucking put to sleep right now.
Somebody's getting put to sleep.
Of course.
Whoever can land hard first.
I say, I don't even know, but Jeremy Stevens just is gonna turn. It's gonna turn into a brawl.
Yeah, it's a great matchup, man. Both are really good boxers. Right, both are really, really good with their hands. They have great stand up. I think that Jeremy Stevens has a lot more power than Calvin, but Calvin can still put you out too with a straight right, man. He's got a lot of power as well, so it's a very interesting matchup. But I think Calvin will take that one.
Excellent. Here we go. Hardy against Jorgen De Castro, and Jorgen's been in the game a lot longer than Hardy. He's not been on the stage. Hardy's been at, but as far as an MMA or a martial artist, Jorgen's got a ton of more experience.
Yeah.
As far as the gym and technical wise, but him, he's an athlete.
Yeah.
Hardy, you know what I mean? And he's been in the game a little while now. Even though he's a douchebag and he's lost some fights, his last fight, even though he got dominated, it was like, what, a 3 weeks notice, if that, after coming off the Boston fight where he was doing the inhaler in the fucking corner.
Yeah.
This guy.
I didn't know.
All right, forget it. He's an asshole. Fuck him up. We're not talking about him anymore.
I didn't know he was using an inhaler.
He has no fucking shot. All right, what are you thinking about that? I think Morgan's going to leg kick him a couple of times and then catch him, and then he's going to fall to the ground. I think Jorgen's going to ground and pound him.
Hardy, he likes to hit girls.
First round.
Not fighters.
Yeah, exactly. People smaller than him. So all right, that's a first round knockout.
Right hand.
All right, this could be their fourth matchup.
I'm going Donald Cerrone.
Right.
I think Anthony Pettis is over the hump. But Cerrone, he's gonna take that.
All right. Last thing, I don't know about the women. I like the Karate Hottie and Esparza. Is that her name? She was a. But,
I'm gonna go with
karate.
Karate. Yeah, she's a lot better.
She grinds, but she tries to take you down too much. I think she's gonna catch her with some kind of fucking spin or some kind of crazy karate.
Esparza has good submissions.
She's a very good wrestler.
Yeah.
Esparza, you know what I mean? All right, right here, and I don't care about that one. Sorry.
You're right. I'm gonna go with Jacare, man. I think Jacare is much better on the ground, and I think Jacare can do enough in order to close the distance, get it to the ground, and just put him away. If that fight goes to the ground, it's over very quickly.
Oh, we know that. But to give Hall credit, he has been on his back or had his back taken, and he was there for a long time.
That ain't Jacare.
Yeah,
though.
you're right. All right,
Jacare is another class.
Fuck me. Yeah, if it hits the ground, it's over. But what I see with Hall he seems lackadaisical, like a slow start, kind of lackadaisical.
He's a slow starter, but sudden finisher.
Yeah, he does, and he hangs in there through some adversity. So
he's a tough guy, man. You can't sleep on him. You can't sleep on Uriah Hall.
All right, well, that's that. That's cool. All right, last thing before I let you go, Brian, and we close the show. One more thing with the Tiger King. I am the motherfucking Tiger King, people. I should have played that part. Look at that. Look at that. And then...
Wow.
One last thing. Oh, Tiger King video.
Nicolas Cage, you're taking everything I work for, motherfucker. I'm the real Tiger King.
Yeah.
And fuck Carol Baskin.
That wasn't even planned. All right, with that said, Brian, I know you're on Instagram as, I got it right there, your tag right there, Relentless Rossi. You're training a little bit, you're getting in shape, you're hanging around with the boys at Tri-Force here and there. When the quarantine's over, you'll be in there. I'll be going by you. We'll be back in this room. We'll be setting up a couple of things.
We'll be back.
We'll be hanging out. I bought your Xbox off you, your old Xbox. We're going to hook that up. I'm going to learn to fucking shoot people and stuff like that. So I'm going to get on the gaming side. I'm just going to cause havoc. I'm the guy that runs across the screen and let's just and fucking diverts attention. You all kill each other. Fuck you. I'm going to be that guy. So that's it. Brian, any last words you want to say before I let you go?
Man, I'm good. You guys need any PCs? Come let me know, and we'll get you hooked up.
Oh, Don Richinas. He just checked in. Don.
Oh, yeah. Don Rich.
Right there. That's my man. That is my man right there. Don, baby. Don, you got to come down. I got face masks. You can come down. You can come down, Don. All right. With that said, Don, we'll have you down. Or actually, Don, let's interview and all that other shit. Well, the room's running now.
Yeah, you want
I can interview people now. No, it's too late. I got to be at work at 3 a.m.
Oh, shit.
I'm essential.
Yeah, you
Dude,
are
I'm working
essential.
7 days a week, 12 hours a day to 14 hours a day. That's how
Hey, whatever.
that's how I'm buying 4K cameras. This is gonna be like fucking King Tut's fucking
Yeah.
tomb
This is gonna
as
be,
far as
this is gonna be the
podcasting.
Tiger King in here.
Exactly. And people, last thing before I go, I'm thinking about renting the room across the way, which is twice the size of this. Which I'm gonna do. Half the room is gonna have a mat and a heavy bag, and when I have fighters in, you can demonstrate stuff, or I can have like a little smoker show of my own in the show. But yeah, it's across the hall, and down the line, that is what's going to happen. I'm going to evolve, make the room bigger. Even though I love this, and I'm still going to add shit to it, I might have to grow. I might have to have, something else. But we'll see. Maybe we'll knock it down a wall down here. I don't know. But it's happening. It's coming. One more thing. NewEnglandMMA.org. Look it up. You got to join the page. We will be having our first fighter rankings. NewEnglandMMA.org. First
awesome.
Fighter rankings. Last time one of those was done, as far as legitimately, it was what Regional Fight Sports, the nonprofit that I, do little things for. We had like 6,000 followers on that. We did one. People were really into it. You're there. You were there. Fighters want to see where they stand. And I think our page is legitimately enough, and what we're doing enough. Like, Laz made a post today. If you don't want to be a part of the media, or, be a part of spotlighting these fighters here and giving them something to be excited about, because, either you think you don't like me, or it's, you're thinking, our shit don't stink because we built a fucking website. There's like 500 hours of computer work and shit going into this website.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Don't think it's just a Facebook Live and a fucking Facebook business page, because it's not. Laz put a lot of work in this, and no one else is going to fucking do it for free.
No.
And it's going to end up being huge. So you don't want to be a part of it.
And New England needs it.
Exactly. And let me just tell you, everyone's going to know. I don't want to call people out, but everyone's going to know who's a part of our panel and who wants to be involved in the vote. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. People want, you know what I mean? Just like you know who the judges are at fights, you're going to know who's voting on who these fighters are. It's going to be all the promotions, a few media people, and fans. There's going to be a percentage of each who's going to be doing it. Most is going to be with the promotions and the media. And the fans are going to get a percentage too. That's going to count, which the fighters are along with the fans. Vote for yourself or whatever. But if you're not a part of the media and you don't want to get aboard, shame on you. You know what I mean? Shame on you. Because it's only spotlighting the fighters. And if you don't like me, it's not about me. You know what I mean? I'm going to do this whether I got NewEnglandMMA.org or not. You know what I mean? So why not just jump on board? Because I'm not going away. Either is NewEnglandMMA.org. So with that said, Bryan Rossi, Relentless Rossi, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks so much for building me a computer.
Absolutely, man.
We got so much. I got the monitors. It's not even hooked up yet.
Yeah.
So, Bryan, thanks so much again, man.
Yeah.
Boom. So from the Room Podcast, follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, under NewEnglandMMA.org. New England MMA on Facebook. New England Mixed Martial Arts on Instagram and Twitter. So with that said, we'll see you next week. We'll have another guest. We'll have someone calling in. I'll Skype someone in next week as I learn more what's going on. So, we'll have the fights to talk about. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get Jorgen De Castro on, which will probably never happen, even though he loves me. But he's going to be a busy guy once he wins that fight. I'm the last guy he can talk to. I'll get him next month. That's fine. Get him when he comes down.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. We out.